This is Wadu TV, truth and integrity.
The mamu nyina akaba emfa channel no so na o first time na wa subscribe na wa like video no comment so ehu hia na fe wa share na yekoye nim sa mayenko parliament embra ya vete ministers first batch of ministers was say ya jomotum parliament e bobo mo ho Okudzeto Ablakwa Sam George sankofo no wahu regional ministers ayeyi omo na yaje ebi atum yaje omatum ye fanisa ma yaje omatum Afenyo makin sori o parliament one day na was saying ka won tiase minority for tiase Okudzeto Ablakwa ama mama nisuo mo de good nsa ho ahohoro nsa ho parliament apepa nsa ho say washing hands off Okudzeto Ablakwa ne appointment say Minister of Foreign Affairs asem na no ye dey no money ne twenya wo parliament o che say ne gina we sia no minority say gina minority nka ho bi nti se maje Okudzeto atoma ene majority mo amasem
as indicated in the report of the committee. The 88 members of the 88 members of the minority reject the nomination of Honorable Samuel Nefe George. We remain opposed to the decision for his nomination to be approved by this House by consensus. We rely on our earlier grounds of opposition without more. We therefore leave this matter entirely in the hands and on the heads of the majority in this House. It is their cross to carry. We, the NPP Minority Caucus of 88, and let the record reflect that we have stepped down our opposition in view of the calls by respected members of this House. We are therefore not going to pursue any longer the secret ballot, but rather to abstain. This is out of deference to members of this House who have reached out in utmost respect, and we want to demonstrate that good faith for the records by saying that in view of the representations made, we would rather opt to abstain from the vote so that it becomes your sole decision for Hansa. We are therefore opposed to it, and Mr. Speaker, it is majority, majority, majority. Carry your own cross. We've washed our hands on them. This is all we've done. Take it.
Honourable members, honourable members, honourable members, now that the minority as a group has abstained, I will go ahead to put the question. After putting the question, I will also ask for those who are against. Then I'll go ahead and ask for those who are abstaining, so that the records will capture as the minority leader.
Mr. Speaker, our work is to assist you. Mr. Speaker, I am on my feet led by precedents. Once I, as the leader of our side, in my submissions, have indicated that the entire 88 are abstaining. That's
Honourable members, please let's allow.
Don't worry. If Mr. Speaker, we have had this before in this chamber. We are abstaining the entire 88. Let the records reflect as such. And we want Hansard to so capture that it is entirely the decision of the majority. We had nothing to do with it. So, Mr. Speaker, this issue of back and forth, we are not part of it. And let it, put the question to them and let them take it, and then you record it as the majority took their decision. That's all. That's all. Mr. Speaker, I rise in seconding the motion. In doing so, I would want some observations to be properly captured for Hansard in respect of the reports we have. Mr. Speaker, first on Honorable Kwabena Minta Akando, it is without doubt that the minority together with the majority agreed to approve him by consensus, and there is no problem at all on his nominee, on his report and the decision we took. So, Speaker, on the second nominee, Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, the recommendation on page 31 of the 103 report reads, prior to the votes, the minority recused themselves. Nonetheless, the committee recommends to the House by consensus the approval of the nomination of Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa as Minister of Foreign Affairs. Mr. Speaker, this would have to be corrected. Our side had a certain understanding of Mr. Speaker's communication. That notwithstanding, we want to presume this to be a regular vetting, though we recuse ourselves at the, at a point. The conclusion here is that the recommendation is by majority decision. Our side is not part of it, and we will take a vote on this matter. Having said so, for the records, Mr. Speaker, on policy, the nominee distinguished himself on the issues regarding the portfolio he is going to occupy. The nominee himself indicated in his CV that he is the chair of the ORA, which committee we have questioned its constitutionality. We are not against any desire of a government to investigate a crime. Not at all. Crime is a crime, and if somebody decides to commit a crime, the laws of the land must deal with the person. But as it is known, if all men find a man's hand in a till, his guilt must be proven. Due process of law is what we've enshrined in our laws. A moment ago, the leader of government business took us through the rule of law when he was commenting on J.B. Dankwa and his contribution to national history. So, Mr. Speaker, we are against his chair of this ORA and the activities in the country. We think, and we hold this whole view firmly, their actions are taking this country back. They must allow due process to take place in our country. As a country, we have used institutions to deal with situations. That is why, apart from the mainstream police service, we enacted a law to establish IYOKO. Not only that, we enacted a law to establish Financial Crime Office Center. That is why we set up the Office of the Special Prosecutor. That is why we have the NIB. That is why today you have various divisions at the police service with specialization in different crimes. So, Mr. Speaker, we don't have to appear too populist by encouraging some of these unconstitutional interventions. He proudly said he's a member of that. Mr. Speaker, let me also state he's a chair and a member. Mr. Speaker, I want to state for the records, although some members of this committee have been denying it, we've heard businessmen complaining that this so-called ORA has been going to their houses and their office premises with video cameras, photographs, taking pictures. They have been using drones. Mr. Speaker, I here, as a leader of my side, I have been a victim of it, yet they say that they don't know. Mr. Speaker, the former defense minister, last week, he called upon me, the chief whip, and the clerk to parliament. They chased his vehicle in the name of ORA. Let's be very clear. Certain things that are happening in this country. Can I finish? Honorable colleagues, please, you need to listen. You need to listen. Mr. Speaker, they chased his vehicle all the way to this Parliament House. And when we made inquiries, apparently it was not coming from national security. And those in charge said that they were sent by ORA. Mr. Speaker, national security said these were not their men, but they were using national security vehicle, and when they were interrogated further, they said that they are coming from ORA. Mr. Speaker, we need to be careful which destination we want to drive the vehicle called Ghana to. I am happy that the oral committee is denying. That should tell you that when you set up such a populist body, people take advantage. Two populists, such a populist committee, people take advantage. Scared of what? People take advantage to settle scores. Mr. Speaker, we do not have to wish this for the country. Now, Mr. Speaker, the nominee, the nominee,
Honorable Collins, he is seconding the motion, so just let's tolerate. Honorable Collins, I know why I'm tolerating.
Mr. Speaker, Honorable Collins Dauda is a very experienced member of this House. He is recounting his own experience, but he knows. He calls me Miwafase. Mr. Speaker, he knows that some of us who were in government never supported a thing like this. He knows that for a fact. And Mr. Speaker, senior members of this House know that there are some members of this House who have the conscience of the society we live in and have never supported any actions detrimental to them when they were in opposition. They know. This is not the time to mention names, but they know. Mr. Speaker, if it was bad yesterday, it remains bad today and it will be bad tomorrow. Mr. Speaker, the nominee went further. Mr. Speaker, the nominee went further without being asked. Produced my own documents on my land. He said that in the name of Ora, they had conducted a search. The good news is that in their attempt to find out whether my land in Winneba belonged to the state, they came to a conclusion that it is not a state land. In fact, Mr. Speaker, I had become aware that somebody had petitioned Ora and had said that the police college in Winneba. Mr. Speaker, my colleagues who are shouting, they should know that this became a subject matter of our proceedings. So I am within the ambit of relevance. So please pay attention. Somebody had filed a petition to Ora claiming that my land in Winneba is part of state lands, and the chair of Ora, in coming to his vetting, carried a search report, and in that search report, at least he got to know that where my building is in Winneba is not state land and I've not looted. Mr. Speaker, again, it is important for him as chair and all the members of this Ora to know that, Mr. Speaker, the entire Winneba lands are affected by vested assets through an executive instrument. Mr. Speaker, going further, the nominee, Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, if you look at page 30 of the 103 report, I quote, the nominee promised to furnish the committee with the following upon request by the ranking member with the leave of the chairman. There's a list of documents that he promised to furnish us. The nominee has been able to furnish the committee with a documentation only on the survey and voter cleanup companies as at the time of finalizing this report. We just need to put on record that there were 9 documents that he promised to furnish us on his own volition. Mr. Speaker, this we have not received. Mr. Speaker, the only 2 they brought, they are still here. The 2 they brought, his company registration, I have it here. Those 2 company registration documents, these are the only 2 that they brought. No, I have captured. Pay attention. I said no, nominee has been able to furnish the document with only on Savvy and Volta Clenam companies. These are the only 2 we have received. Mr. Speaker, we believe that he who comes to equity must do equity. Let the record reflect that this side is not pursuing a member of this house. But, Mr. Speaker, the colleague himself publicly says that he is a public-spirited Ghanaian, and he's on record of always pursuing people and finding out their sources of income, especially the political class. Mr. Speaker, if you are holding people's feet to the fire, Mr. Speaker, I will make this point. If you are holding people's feet to the fire, demanding accountability and transparency, it means that you yourself must demonstrate that when subjected to it, you will.
Honourable member, please.
Mr. Speaker, our colleague Honourable Ablakwa has been taking people on in the public space. He questions people's birth certificates. He questions people's sources of income. He questions people's passports, people's travel. Mr. Speaker, he questions them. If today he lives at airports and provides it on his CV that he lives at the airport and claims that he is a tenant for 8 years, it only stands to reason that he makes available all documents related to the tenancy. We are not pursuing this person. Ablakwa knows that I, Kwame, here will be the last to stand against his political progress. Never. Yes, Mr. Speaker, I will never. Those who know me and know me well know me and what I stand for. I am a politician like you. I will not be the one to be pursuing you. I will not. But to the extent that you do not spare your colleagues, Mr. Speaker, especially during the vetting, I found it very strange that Mr. Ablakwa apparently took the car loan of 2021 because he's on record, both on social media and traditional media, questioning the car loan that MPs take. And he's used the word, it was unconscionable. When I asked the question, he said that 2013, he took the car loan, he used it to buy a Land Cruiser. In the in his second term, that was 2017, he used that one to buy 2 saloon cars, and then the third one he used that to buy a combine harvester. Mr. Speaker, you and I know that there is no way the clerk to parliament, upon receiving a letter that a member wants to use his car loan to buy a combine harvester, clerk will not issue a check to a vendor who is selling a combine harvester to a member of parliament. It is not true, and it can't be possible. He has been pursuing people. He is questioning the integrity of members of parliament, that it's unconscionable to access car loan. Yet on all the 3 terms he's been a member of parliament, he has relied on these facilities. Mr. Speaker, I don't want to say it is hypocritical, but it is also for all of us as a house to realize that we must be measured in the way we pursue each other and one another and others. Today, he is now going into government. I know Mr. Ablakwa as a true gentleman in terms of his dressing. He does, yes, Mr. Speaker, he dresses well. He wears quality things. He wears quality shoe, quality suit, quality tie. He dresses well. And I respect him for that, and he knows. If tomorrow somebody says, colleagues, this is a serious matter. If tomorrow, by mere fact that he's a gentleman, he dresses well, somebody now comes to ask you, how much did you buy your suit? This designer shoe, how much did it cost you? Because, Mr. Speaker, for 8 years, the member says that all he has is his MP salary of 15,000. He says that all he does is his MP work. He has not done other business because the Savvy company, he folded that company up way back in 2015. Mr. Speaker, I am saying this because our colleague has taken a lot of public officers to the cleaners. And this is not personal. This is not personal. He's taken a lot of us to the cleaners. And if you create the impression that you are very holy and very righteous and you are a crusader, yet you don't want to be scrutinized, then there's a problem. So, Mr. Speaker, as a matter of principle, we are opposed to him because of the inconsistencies and the lack of clarity. Mr. Speaker, for the other colleagues, for the other 9 that within 1 hour, within 1 hour, they took advantage of our absence to pass all of them. All we can say is that majority, go and sin no more. Go and sin no more. The congratulations bye-bye group. Mr. Speaker, there is a group of 9. Congratulations bye-bye, I wish you well. Mr. Speaker, they even add, bye-bye, take care of yourself. And for them, Mr. Speaker, we will raise a procedural issue at the right time. But we will not stand in their way today because we have no problem with them. We believe that these regional ministers must take office. We can't allow vacuum at the various regional ministries, regional coordinating councils, and even on our colleague Ablakwa, who we are opposed to him. We believe that because that foreign ministry is a very serious, important ministry, an organ of state, we will take a decision on him tonight. And let me, without equivocation, state that we will proceed with the same abstinence. We abstain from his decision. It is solely a majority's call. All the sins of Ablakwa are upon their head. Get me water. I need water. Mr. Speaker, this one, I need proper water. This is not a dry washing, just some small water. Yes, Mr. Speaker, this one, we are washing our hands. We are washing our hands to tell them that every sin at the airport hills, Mr. Speaker, I'm cleaning. Mr. Speaker, and I'm cleaning. I am cleaning my hands to tell them that we are not part of the sins that he has committed. All the airport hill sins are on their head. If tomorrow he and his aura start pursuing you, it is on your head. But if he repents, and comes back to this house, we will accept him and make him awa too. Mr. Speaker, we rest our case.
Honorable members, the motion has been moved, has been seconded. I'm going to put the question. Let us sit down first. Let him also sit down. Let him also sit down. Honorable members, hey, I'm taking one each. One. Please, I am on the chair. I'm taking the decision. Honorable Dominic Nitiwu, just speak. Honorable Dominic Nitiwu. Dominic Nitiwu, I've called you. One. After one, I'll call one here, then I'll put the question. Yes. One.
No, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, Honorable Surini, the speaker spoke as the ranking. He seconded. So please don't
Mr.
say
Speaker,
the speaker has spoken. He spoke by virtue of being the ranking of the committee. So,
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, we have 9 nominees that this House is approving. We are talking to the people of Ghana. We are speaking on behalf of the people of Ghana. To say that you approve non-nominees with just 1 or 2, we are not being fair to the people of Ghana. Especially, Mr. Speaker, especially when they are not 9, they are 12 people. Mr. Speaker, when these 12 people, the appointment committee used less than 2 hours to approve these 12 people. So I will plead with leadership that do the people of Ghana good by allowing members who are here after 9 o'clock to get the opportunity to comment. Mr. Speaker, I want to say that we should put it on record that these nominees, this group of nominees, have received the shortest time of their vetting ever. That is the record that those who sat on their vetting are given to the people of Ghana. And if you listen to public commentary, the people of Ghana are not happy about what happened. Mr. Speaker, none of us on this side, especially me or any other person, has a personal problem with any nominee. We don't. We don't have personal problems with any nominee. But Mr. Speaker, we have the duty to be able to point out to the people of Ghana.
Honorable Nitiwu, please hold on for me. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, the 12 people, the vetting started from 10 a.m. in the morning and ended around 11 p.m. in the night. Mr. Speaker, for the 12 people. Mr. Speaker, in the morning, the first person we vetted, I think that day, was Akando. Mr. Speaker, the minority participated. Even with their participation and all the opportunities that were given to them, they took only 25 minutes to vet him. They were involved. They used 25 minutes. Mr. Speaker, they left us and we vetted 9 nominees. Honorable Felix spent close to 1 hour. I personally took Felix through a very, very grueling vetting exercise. Mr. Speaker,
Leader,
I asked him every question.
Leader, I was going to give you opportunity. And
he answered very well, Mr. Speaker. So you cannot create an impression that
Leader,
the committee did not do a good job after you had left.
Leader,
Mr. Speaker, even when you were there, you used only 25 minutes to get a nominee.
The work of the committee is subjective. That's the way he sees it. So allow him to speak.
Mr. Speaker,
you give you the opportunity.
Mr. Speaker,
then you also say the way you see the
Mr.
committee.
Speaker, thank you very much. In spite of his attempt to say that he grilled the nominee, 58 minutes, 9 nominees were approved. That is a record the people of Ghana have. That is a fact. You can check from social media. Check from what the people of Ghana are saying. But Mr. Speaker, our people say that the child who washes his hands well is the one who knows how to eat with visitors. My good friend, Honorable Okudzeto Ablakwa, they use their hands. Maybe you are from Accra. Me, I'm from a village. We are different. Mr. Speaker, my good friend, Honorable Okudzeto, very young man, has decided that he wants to do good to the people of Ghana. It's good. But when you decide, then you have to go the full walk with the people of Ghana. After the vetting, if you go everywhere, the people of Ghana are demanding answers from him. How is it possible, Mr. Speaker, that an individual who says, I earn only 15,000 Ghana cedi, can rent from Airport Hill, a mansion from Airport Hill, on a 2-acre land where land is $500,000.
Honorable Dominic.
A piece of plot at Airport Hill today is $500,000. I didn't say I'm renting.
Right, Honorable Speaker, as much as we do politics, we need to be very careful not to wash our dirty linen in public. Right, Honorable Speaker, we know. Right, Honorable Speaker, we know that some matters are for closed city. So we should be very careful the way we do some politics regarding certain issues. And I are very much aware
Chairman, thank you.
about certain things that we do in closed city. So please.
Chairman, thank you. Yes, Honorable Dominic.
Mr. Speaker, I was not at the vetting of him. In fact, I wanted to be there, but I wasn't there. But Mr. Speaker, I watched him live. I watched him. It was there for everybody to see. It was not about closed sitting. When he said, every Ghanaian heard it. When that question was put to him by the minority leader. So the people of Ghana are still demanding these answers. It will help him and help this proposal and help every politician. It will help every politician if he's able to let the people of Ghana know where he's getting money to rent that property at Airport Hill. Mr. Speaker, I commend them for saying that they will do oral work. I commend you. I just want you to make sure that the oral committee is set up properly according to law and do your work. But Mr. Speaker, I want them to go to Botema first. Go to Botema first. Check the land that was given between 2014 and 2015, 2016. Who are the members who benefited Botema? Go to Boteman. Committee chairman, I want you to go to Boteman. Affordable had where President Kufuor built. The land that shares boundaries will be state land. It was given in 2014 and 2015, part of it 2016. Find out the people who own that land. Mr. Chairman of Ora, I want you to go to aviation land, that huge land at Medina, Adenta, the aviation land. Find out the people who owned that land. You are part of Ora, go and do that. Mr. Chairman of Ora, I want you to go to Tamale, behind what we call the residency, where the president sometimes goes and he sleeps. Go and find out, they're all state lands. Go and find out the owners of those lands. Go and find out. Mr. Chairman, I want you to go.
I'm tired after that Nepal.
Mr. Chairman, I want you to go to the land. I want you to go to the land opposite, adjacent to the military cemetery. And
that is coming to you and one time.
Why are they putting up? No. Mr. I will stay until I'm. Mr. Speaker, somebody is putting up the mic. Mr. Speaker, I thought that
Honorable member, please, let's respect ourselves. Those people who are putting on the mics, please.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker, I ask the chairman of
Honorable members, I'm not. No.
I think Parliament needs to.
Yeah, Honorable Netu, I'm not going to take any more. I'm tired.
Mr. Speaker, when I start speaking, they put up.
Honorable members, those who are putting on their mics.
But when they were doing it, that was here.
Leadership, majority leadership. Please make sure your members don't put on the mics. Honorable members, when I say this and you get flared up, at times we are doing government business, we have to finish and leave. And your own members are putting on their mics. What? So we should suspend sitting. Majority leader, do you suspend sitting? What is this?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am grateful for the opportunity once again. Mr. Speaker, I said I want the chairman of ORA, and I'll be right officially to you to go to Tamale. Mr. Chairman, I want to go to Tamale and assess. Let me put my hand behind my back so that you know
why
that
can't you be tolerant a bit?
Problem. Oh, Mr. Chairman, I have all of the state lands that were obtained between 2010 to 2016. I will provide the chairman to. Mr. Chairman, I'm surprised that accountability, which is in our constitution, has become a problem here. The oral chairman, thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker, let's find out the land that is adjacent to the military cemetery. The letter that was written by the Honorable Attorney, the current Attorney General, and why that letter was written, and why that land was released to chain homes, the real owners. Let's find out. I'm charging the oral chairman to find out. Mr. Speaker, I am asking the oral chairman to find out the owners of the state land that is between the East Legon police station along the electricity pylon under the high tension, all that land. Who released that land and for who? I want to find out. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I am bringing this to the fore. Because we are building a country. The country we are building is called Ghana. We must ensure that actions of government are in the interest of the country and not the interest of any individual or a political party. I am saying to the oral chairman, and I'm saying that when your committee is properly constituted, beware that some of us, I was minister, I don't have a single government property. I never stayed in a government house. I never did anything illegal. And I'm saying that I will be writing officially to you when your committee.
Honourable member, please wind up.
I can wind up. They will not allow me to speak. I'm here to come to the others. Why? Mr. Speaker, what caused that Thursday night is the same attitude that's been brought here. When you are on your feet, when the majority leader was on his feet, I sat down. I've been in parliament. This is my 19th year of being in parliament. I've won 6 elections. I sat majority leader. When I'm talking, you are putting off the mic. That is what caused the problems. It's wrong. And leader, call them to order. It's wrong. You cannot. Mr.
from their end.
It's from their end. It's not from here. Look.
Honorable members, it's now 10 o'clock.
Mr. Speaker,
Let's tolerate ourselves so that we can finish and leave.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes, leader.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have paid attention. I have watched my back. If you notice, at a certain point, my back was to the speaker. I have watched carefully. I don't think anybody on this side is fiddling with the mics. Maybe his mic has a problem. So if he can shift to another mic, I think that is where the problem is. Mr. Speaker, I want to appeal to my colleagues, all of us, not just the majority, that we are all here at this time because we want to finish this government business. Mr. Speaker, as democracy so demands, we must have our say. We want to plead with our colleagues to allow a full debate to ensue. My mother had earlier come to me to ask for how many each we're going to take on the report. I told her we have two reports, report number 10 and report number 11. We're going to do 5-5 on each. We are done with the 10. We didn't go through the rigorous voting process. We opted to abstain. We've done that one. We are left with the 11th report. I seconded it. The first person to make a contribution, yes, it's Honorable Nitiwul. He's been 19 years in this chamber. He's a senior member of this house.
The former leader of this house.
He's a former leader. Please, colleagues, let's hear him. When he's done, it will come to you and the process continues. It's 10 o'clock. We are here to help to conclude this. Mr. Speaker, our colleagues must cooperate with you so that we get done. Our 5 would have their bite. Mr. Speaker, what is that? What was the arrangement? Mr. Speaker, respectfully, what number were you giving?
because leadership conferred. Mr. Speaker, I'm not challenging you. Leadership conferred. They sent Honorable Doyo to me. She came here. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Doyo came here. You see, sometimes when members don't act in good faith, it becomes difficult. As if we are up on our feet and we want to obstruct them. We agreed to do 5. If the majority leader wants to reduce it, he can reach out to me. I am not a difficult person to insist that, yes, maybe you don't know. Maybe you don't know me. With time, you get to know who I am. Maybe you don't know. I'm not a difficult person. What you are doing, I've done it before. I know how difficult it is. Even to bring all of you into this chamber, I know how difficult it was for the whips. So I won't frustrate you, but we'll do the politics. I will not frustrate you. Ask Harun Edrisu the kind of person I am. I will not frustrate your politics. No, that is the truth. You must know the truth. Mr. Speaker, we agreed 5-5. If the majority leader wants us to negotiate on the numbers, I am amenable. I know you've been sitting for a very long time. We can deal with it and then make progress. Mr. Speaker, I would want to accept 4-4. Reduce it. Okay, Mr. Speaker, the majority leader says he wants 3. I will grant that. He says he wants 3. I will grant that. Thank you very much. Speaker, for the records and not to avoid ambiguity, the 3 are Honorable Nitiwu, Honorable Abujinapo, and Honorable Intimfojo. That's it. I want to
honorable members, please take it from me. Everybody is speaking for 5 minutes. I'm not going beyond 5 minutes. 5 minutes, 3 each, 5 minutes each. I've been sitting here for since I can't go.
Thank you, Mr. I just want to make one point clear, that the policy to dispose of government property, especially houses and land, started under the former President Rawlings, under what we call infilling. They are making it a crime. That is why we are saying that Amiahe lands, Adenta aviation lands, airport lands, east and west, all the areas I have mentioned, will be submitting that to them to fish out who the owners are. Then we will know those who sold land and those who didn't steal land. But Mr. Speaker, I want to wish the nominees well. If they get the opportunity to be sworn in and passed by this House and be sworn in by the President, I want to wish them well. I got an opportunity to serve Ghana for 8 years without blemish. As the defense minister, they should listen to what Honorable Abujinapo said. If you enter the ministry with attitude, 1 year, you'll be out of that place. If you enter the ministry with a mindset that I know all, you will not last. If you enter the ministry that my party has won, and so you do whatever you want, you will not last. If you enter the ministry with the mindset that you are going to make money, you will not last. If you enter the ministry with the idea that everybody else is below you, you will not last. And there are people in this house, outside this house, who never lasted 1 year as ministers. Take it from me. Some did not even last 6 months. Some lasted 1 year. Some lasted 1.5 years as ministers. Those who serve 4 years and above should be proud of themselves. Because you are going to get sleepless nights. You are going to be tempted. So that's why I say I wish them well. I don't wish them bad. None of us will be appointed as ministers. You are the people who will be appointed as ministers. If they will have problems, it will be from you, not from here. We want to take power from you. We are not looking to be ministers.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Yes, gentlemen. So nobody is speaking from here. Yes. Honorable Samuel Buja for 5 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the debate on the motion. Mr. Speaker, let me begin by highlighting Mr. Salisu Biawobi Isifu, who is Minister Designate for the Savannah region, and to say that, Mr. Speaker, he's somebody I know very well. He was the NDC Regional Secretary, and indeed I've known him as far back as my days in the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Mr. Speaker, I find him a capable man, and I believe that we can all work together to bring about prosperity in Savannah region. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Akando, Minister Designate for Health, is somebody we all know very well, a senior colleague in this House. He's been very vociferous on matters of health in the 8th Parliament. Perfect, fine gentleman. We wish him well. We believe that he will do very well at the Ministry of Health. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, my very good friend, who I believe distinguished himself when it came to the substantive matters. Mr. Speaker, let me put that on record. When it came to the substantive matters of foreign policy. And I think it's important that I underscore that point. I was very concerned about his perceived leanings, leftist leanings and socialist leanings. I posed a question to him. He gave an answer which I believe will comfort the diplomatic community, that in this very complex geopolitical world of divide, of multipolars, he will be able to shepherd Ghana's foreign policy to bring about, and of course, the issue of economic diplomacy is one that I find very important as well. His matter is still at large. Of course, the majority will pass him. When he gets there, we will all cheer him on and wish him well, cooperate with him to position Ghana's foreign policy. But, Mr. Speaker, I think it's important that we put this on record. And I'm not getting into the mind or head of my friend Okudzeto Ablakwa, but I can be almost certain that if he was offered the opportunity to chair oral again, Mr. Speaker, he would decline. He would decline. He would decline. Mr. Speaker, because oral has brought the Honorable Okudzeto Ablakwa more problems than good. Mr. Speaker, and it's brought him problems, and indeed, I think more problems will come. Mr. Speaker, it's brought him more problems because of fundamental principles. Mr. Speaker, let me underscore one very important principle. Mr. Speaker, the principle of hear the other side, listen to the other side, give the other side a hearing. The majority leader, I think 2 or 3 days ago, the majority leader underscored the same point, that he never condemns a man until he hears the man. Mr. Speaker, let me refer the chairman of Oral to the book of Genesis. Yes, to the book of Genesis. Mr. Speaker, chapter 3, verse 9 onwards, where God himself, where Almighty God himself, all-knowing God, before he condemned Adam, before he punished Adam, he gave Adam the right of hearing. He posed the question to Adam, and indeed, Mr. Speaker, it was only after Adam put up a spirited defense and God conducted an elaborate trial and gave him a hearing, what the lawyers call the audit alteram partem rule, a principle of natural justice. It was only and only after the defense that God punished and condemned Adam. Mr. Speaker, I want to make the point. Mr. Oral, your problem is that you've created the impression out there that some people are guilty when they have not been given a hearing. Mr. Speaker, that is the fundamental problem the Ghanaian people have with Oral. And Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, let me refer the House. Let me refer the House once
Honorable
again.
Member,
let me refer the House once again.
you are left with 2 minutes.
Let me refer the House.
Yes, hear you. 2 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I thought we were micro minority. Let them debate the micro minority. Let them debate that, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I refer the House. Mr. Speaker, I refer the House. I refer the House to 1 Corinthians I refer my friend and brother, the Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, Member of Parliament for North Tongue, Minister Designate for Foreign Affairs. Mr. Ora, I refer you to 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 12, where it is said, and I quote, Mr. Speaker, where it is said, and I quote, "Wherefore let him think that he stands. Take heed, lest he falls." And when I conclude, Mr. Speaker, I conclude by saying that the chairman of Oral, Mr. Oral himself is now struggling to wiggle his way and navigate through the web of Oral. And therefore, Mr. Speaker,
thank you.
Mr. Speaker,
Thank you.
has brought him more problems.
Thank you. Thank you. Honorable Reverend Intim Fadjo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to contribute to the debate, to congratulate my colleagues who have been nominated to various positions, and to state that we wish them well and will support them to succeed in the roles that they have been vetted to. Mr. Speaker, in respect of Honorable Kwabena Minta Akando, Minister Designate for Health, he demonstrated his experiences in all the experiences that he has had. Being the ranking of the Health Committee was brought to the fore, and we are expecting that he will translate those experiences to delivery in ensuring that National Health Insurance Scheme is maintained and timeous disbursement of payments are done to ensure the smooth running and effective healthcare delivery. Honorable Sedu Isifu, Minister Designate or Minister of State for Climate Change, we wish him well, even though we see clear duplication of roles and mandates here with a substantive Minister for Environment, Science and Technology, with matters of climate change cutting across about 5 different ministries. They still found it fit in their strategy to still create Minister of State for Climate Change. We wish him well. Climate change is an important matter, and it's expected that he will coordinate a lot of these actions in this part of the world. Mr. Ekopin Ochre, I congratulate him, the Minister Designate for Central Region, my region, and to urge him to pay attention to the many chieftaincy disputes in the region and to see to their timeous resolution, and to turn his attention to Ase Mansu Slave Monument, a very huge potential tourist attraction. Honorable Felix Kwacho Fusu, my neighbor, I wish him the very best. He's a great communicator, going to be the Minister of State for Government Communication. It is important that he realizes that the integrity and credibility of government is so important and must be delineated from political propaganda. On my respected colleague, Honorable Okudzeto Ablakwa, I have traveled the world with him, serving on the Foreign Affairs Committee. His knowledge in foreign affairs, foreign relations is not in doubt. Mr. Speaker, my good friend has carved a brand for himself that is a man of accountability who seeks to save the public purse. When he was quizzed in that same spirit whether he was ready to sacrifice as a Minister of State to take economic class, he declined. He insisted that he would join. It is not befitting for a Minister for Foreign Affairs to fly economic class. He insisted on flying business class. We thought that in that principle, he would have opted for economy to save money. All right, Mr. Speaker, time will not permit me to quote quotations. My respected colleague, Honorable Jinapo, has quoted enough quotations. But when you strike forward one finger to your friend, the rest of the 4 point back to you. When you chew your tongue, you haven't chewed much meat. And so it is important that much as members are sensitive to their reputations and even demand apologies before start of vetting, they must equally be minded that the many reputations out there, that their actions, inactions, or exposés, even before verification, have caused
out there, whether NDC or MPP. But the irony here is that oral so-called exposés only focuses on 2017 to 2024. I have never heard in the extensive presentation of the so-called oral exposés any expose relating to 2009 to 2016. We have never seen any such expose relating to 1992. Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, the Honourable But when he was requested to submit only 9 documents relating to his affairs, he was not able to provide them even within 5 days. But he was able to load about 3 bags of documents relating to others. Mr. Speaker, I wish my brother well, but I want him to know that in the world of he must exercise absolute circumspection, knowing that he and the president, the 5 minutes is being counted within the time the mic is on, Mr. Speaker. May I remind my respected friend, I wish him well to succeed, but he must have a positive image of this country.
Thank you so much.
And diplomacy. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Honorable members, yes, leader.
Mr. Speaker, let me thank my colleagues for such a spirited debate on the report. Mr. Speaker, first and foremost, Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa never said any time, anywhere, that he earns 15,000 Ghana cedis a month. He never said that. He never said that. Mr. Speaker, all of us in this chamber know how much we earn. And we know that we don't earn 15,000. So you cannot say that he earns 15,000 and you use 15,000 as a benchmark to determine where he sleeps. Nobody says that. Mr. Speaker, I beg of you, let's be factual when we are evaluating the reports. Number 2, Mr. Speaker, oral is a program that says that see something, say something. Mr. Speaker, we have not restricted what you can see and what you can say. If you have seen anything, say it. Say it. Mr. Speaker, if you think you saw land being taken between 2012 to 2016, say it. If you saw land being taken between 2016 to 2020, say it. Mr. Speaker, but say the truth. We started with a policy of infilling. Infilling. Do you know what infilling meant? Infilling was a policy that you notice that at that time, you will see one small bungalow in a 1-acre piece of land at cantonments. And yet government needed bungalows for workers. So the infilling policy enabled government to fit in additional accommodation in that space. That was what infilling meant. That was what infilling meant under the NDC. But when the NDC left office, the infilling became private people filling in. The records are there. The records are there. Mr. Speaker, the records are there. So don't come and create an impression that NDC is running away from accountability. You had 8 years. If you are concerned about protecting the lands of this country, public land, you should have done so. We have come and we are interested in protecting public lands. So we are telling the public to report anybody who has seen that public land has been stolen. Has been stolen. Mr. Speaker, we have not yet tried anybody for stealing public lands. So those who are alleging that oral is not giving an opportunity to people to be heard, and they are lawyers, I'm surprised. Because oral so far has only asked people to report. And when they report, you have to go to the site and verify. You have to go to the site and verify. All I have seen oral doing on television is going to the various sites where they have received reports to verify. When they put together a report, and then they submit the report to the various investigative agencies, those people will be invited and they will have a right to be heard. And they will be able to explain if the land belongs to them or the lands do not belong to them. If the land belongs to them, and indeed it was public property, how
Leader,
it became private property.
Thank you, Leader.
At what price they bought the property. Mr. Speaker, please. So far, I have not seen oral commit anything that amounts to denying people a right to be heard. Mr. Speaker, let's not personalize oral. Let's not start calling someone Okudzeto Mr. Oral. Mr. Speaker, he is the chairman of a committee set up by the President of the Republic to give the public an opportunity to report any instance of what is perceived to be appropriation of public lands. He is not Mr. Ora. He is the chairman of Ora. Mr. Speaker, what you don't know
is he going to hold on to that position after?
Mr. Speaker, let me tell you, I was a member of the transition team. I was in the meeting at which the decision to initiate oral was taken. I was there. Indeed, there were those who argued that we should wait till government is formed and then we will pass a legislation and establish it, and then it will start work. I was one of those who argued that there was nothing in law preventing the president from asking the public, the president-elect, from asking people to report any instance of stolen property. I argued. I was there. I argued and convinced my colleagues that it was perfectly legal for the president to set up a committee. Listen to the leader. And the committee was set up. Mr. Speaker, there is nothing that prevents Samuel Okudzeto as foreign minister to continue to chair the committee. There is nothing inconsistent with the law and his functions to continue to chair the committee. So, Mr. Speaker, let me conclude by saying that we thank our colleagues for their contributions. So far, there is nothing that has been said that disqualifies any of the nominees. They have cautioned the nominees. In some instances, they've given very useful advice, and I believe the nominees will take those pieces of advice on board. And I now urge you, Mr. Speaker, to put the question.
Let me thank you for the opportunity to contribute to the motion for the adoption of the report of His Excellency President Mohammed's nomination for appointment as Ministers of State. And Mr. Speaker, in doing so, to take opportunity to implore the leadership of the House, in particular the majority and minority leader, to give utmost support and respect to the First Deputy Speaker as the man in charge of the Appointments Committee. At all times, he needs your support. And I think it's important that we recognize that it's not for nothing that the Constitution allowed that we have two Deputy Speakers, and the First Deputy Speaker is responsible for matters relating to appointment. Mr. Speaker, the second is, what does the Appointments Committee do? What are they to do? Propriety of vetting. And Mr. Speaker, again, to remind ourselves, elected members of Parliament, we walk to this House on the strength of Article 94, of the 1992 Constitution. And it's, Mr. Speaker, again, it's not for nothing that the Constitution says that to qualify to be a minister of state, you must qualify to be elected as member of parliament. And therefore, if you are an elected member of parliament, what in law can we do as an appointments committee? But Mr. Speaker, this practice have endeared Ghana to many democracies. The public accountability of persons desiring or appointed by the president to lead in various sectors of the economy, who must have utmost public trust and public integrity. Mr. Speaker, in the course of the vetting, once upon a time, I heard the minority leaders say that President Mahama should apologize to Ghanaian people and appoint more ministers. Mr. Speaker, may I with respect refer you to, you made a comment. Mr. Speaker, let me remind him that what President Mahama is doing in resetting Ghana's governance is to set benchmarks, which benchmarks will guide future presidents of the Republic. And it is not a benchmark for purpose of just the 9th Parliament. No. Mr. Speaker, may I refer you to the Constitution in Article 1976. It reads, and I quote, "There shall be a cabinet which shall consist of the president, vice president," and Mr. Speaker, I emphasize this word, "not less than 10 and not more than 19 ministers of state." So, Mr. Speaker, cabinet is properly constituted with just 21, the president plus vice president, and 19 other ministers. President John Dramani Mahama, in appointing 60 ministers, he will keep honor and faith with the Ghanaian people. What he expects is that in future, never again should a president want to rule this country and want to appoint as many ministers as 100, 80, 90, no, and 120. Mr. Speaker, that is a governor's legacy Excellency John Dramani Mahama wants to lead. And probably even more if he does, as he is taking full advantage of the extraordinary mandate he has, subjecting this country to a constitutional review. Mr. Speaker, when we have opportunity at constitutional review, then we will just, as a house, decide that this is what we want as a country, learning from the John Dramani Mahama experience and capping the number of ministers never to exceed 60. So those of you who think President Mahama will walk back on his pledge, you will be disappointed. He would honor that. Save the public purse as he has promised. What is the essence of a lean size of government or a small size of government? To make some savings for the Republic. That he will do. Mr. Speaker, now let me come to a few of the nominees, and I start by referring you, Mr. Speaker, to the Honorable Kofi Adams, Minister Designate for Sports. Mr. Speaker, in those days, I was then National Youth Organizer of the NDC, I believe the years 2002 to 2005, that I had gone to Takoradi to do an NDC youth program. And on my return at Adisadal College, he was then a teacher and deputy constituency organizer. As I sat through the program, before I left, I was convinced that he was a worthy political material. And then I invited him subsequently to Accra. He came and worked with me as NDC Deputy National Youth Organizer. When I was youth organizer, then we'd be sitting and co at party headquarters. Mr. Speaker, he's a quiet deliverer. He has ownership of his strategies. He speaks less. I believe that he would make President Mahama proud at the Ministry of Sports. But there's more work to do. We expect that the University of Education, he will dedicate that stadium to support them. Our football, Mr. Speaker, is not in the best of shapes. look at the events at Nswatriman and Ashanti Kotoko, officiating is at its poorest, and our Premier League is not watched. But Mr. Speaker, football today is a major cash gainer if you invest properly in it. Then, Mr. Speaker, I have seen, and may I refer you to page 15 of the report, considering extending the retirement age in the civil and public service. And Mr. Speaker, again, a matter of public debate. Maybe this is the opportunity to enrich the constitutional review process. Are we to decide? For instance, a few days ago, I had a meeting with a section of university lecturers over retirement at 60, 65, medical doctors at 60, 65, mindful that there are other young people who have aspirations. But, Mr. Speaker, can we as a country decide that we want to adjust the retirement age? Let's subject it to another public debate, and maybe it will inform the work of the Constitutional Review Committee. Then, Mr. Speaker, I come to the Honorable Sam George. I listened to the minority leader, and I see majority decision. You know the political and standing order consequences of that decision. But, Mr. Speaker, is he qualified to be a minister of state or not? I'm just asking. So, Mr. Speaker, he's also going to the important Ministry of Communications. Ghana today is led by a dominant player in our communication space, the MTN. What opportunities are there for Ghanaians in that particular industry? I believe when he gets there, he must open up those opportunities for more Ghanaian participation in that particular area. And then, Mr. Speaker, to my neighbor, the Honorable Mohamed Mutala, going to the Ministry of Environment at the time that President Trump of the United States, a major contributor to global emission problems, is pulling out of the Paris Accord. I'm sure he'll be working closely with the Minister for Foreign Affairs, subject to this House decision, to see how Ghana contributes to benefiting from it. So, Mr. Speaker, finally, let me conclude. And then the whips. Our whips must know that in this House, discipline rests on your shoulders. Therefore, if you behave in a manner and in a conduct that is not acceptable to the Ghanaian people, you break down the governance of this House and put the Speaker in some imperil as we did. So the whips, be guided. You are not just whips for your political party. Discipline is yours. Mr. Speaker, you visited the House of Commons. Even the whip, the original whip, is still in the office of the whip of the House of Commons. So the whips, you should be the last at all times, at any time, to undermine the work of the House. And you must ensure that your members uphold party values, but be reminded at all times that you are patriotic citizens of Ghana. There are times that we must drink from the spring of patriotism, and this country must benefit from us as persons contributing to the public good. So, Mr. Speaker, let me comment my schoolmate at the law school, who is now the proud chairman of the appointments committee, Bernard Ahiafo. He's managed his temperament so well. There are times that sitting afar, so well. There are times, Mr. Speaker, sitting afar, you just can't take and swallow what he's compelled to swallow. We've been there before with Osei. Today, we remember him and respect him, former chairman of the appointments committee. He will turn and tell you that, Mr. Minority Leader, your time is up. I'm not tolerating any more questions from you. To keep the sanity and stability of the House, we yielded. The recordings are there. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to comment the chairman and then to all of us as members. If we behave in a manner which undermines the public trust, we are undermining the public faith and respect for our democracy. So, Mr. Speaker, and then my good friend, Honorable Nipe, I'm sure he too, I can share his story. Now, Northern Regional Minister Adolf one day walked to me when Moses Mabinga was exiting from Parliament and said he has a better candidate who can win Saboba. I asked him who, he said Nikwe. Then I said we should meet at the Electoral Commission offices in Tamale so that I'll know who Bukari Nikwe is. Mr. Speaker, a calm gentleman of a personality, very tolerant person, and I'm sure he will, in performing as Minister for Transport, be reminded that Tamale Airport will need a second phase. So be reminded. And be reminded, Mr. Speaker. And then Cape Coast, there are some promises there. So Bukari Nikwe, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Minister.
We will take appropriate decisions on the airport as a government. He knows that. He knows that. So, Mr. Speaker, Bukari Nikwe at the Ministry of Transport, elected member of Saboba. When they said Minister for Transport, Minister for Roads is here.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I conclude. I thank you. Nikwe, I wish you well. Honorable.
Yes. Let him now give the floor to Honorable Kojo Oponkroma.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to make some few remarks in support of the motion that has been moved. First, Mr. Speaker, I'm tempted to comment briefly on the remarks by the Minister for Education in celebration of what I'll call the new threshold of 60 ministers. I think as commendable as it is, to the extent that we are making remarks that Hansard is capturing, we should add to it the fact that if the result of the election had been different, we'll be celebrating 50 ministers and not 60. The new threshold of 60 is worth celebrating, but in the very near future, we will be celebrating 50 under an MPP administration. Mr. Speaker, I think, however, on a more serious note, it's also important to correct the impression that the consolidation of some ministries necessarily means a wholesome cut or savings of the public purse. Mr. Speaker, for example, today we don't have a Ministry of Information, but we have a Minister of State at the Office of the President responsible for government communication. The same salary that the Minister of Information was drawing is the same salary that he's going to be drawing. All the civil servants who were working at the Information Ministry will continue to draw their salaries. Mr. Speaker, if you go to the Ministry of Works, Housing and Water Resources, the fact that you no longer see a Water Resources Ministry as separate does not mean that any civil servant who worked there has been fired. They will continue to draw their salaries. In fact, all the budgets for projects under water resources have only now been consolidated with water resources, works and housing. And so, Mr. Speaker, the claim that we make sometimes that there's been a wholesome cut in expenditure is not exactly accurate, and I think that it's something that we should also address our minds to. Mr. Speaker, very quickly, I want to make a few
Honourable
remarks.
Member, I'm not going to take any interjections. No point of order, please. Yes, Minister.
Very quickly, Mr. Speaker, I want to make a few remarks on some of the specific portfolios, starting with the Employment Minister. The Honourable Rashid Pelpo, very respected member of this House, we congratulate him on his nomination. A couple of things that we who have just left government would like to draw his attention to. Jobs are created mostly in the private sector than the public sector. And so it will behove on him to liaise with his colleagues in the economic sectors so that they can create the enabling environment for the private sector to create the jobs. I say so because already the Minister for Finance, our very good brother Ato, who's just left the chamber, has been announcing that he's going to create jobs. And the lesson that we have learned, which we'll share with them, is that it will be better attention is paid to assisting the economic sector ministers so that they create the environment that allows the private sector to create jobs. Mr. Speaker, additionally, one thing that over the years as a republic we have failed in is having an independent body that can put together statistics on jobs. So in the US, for example, they have the US Bureau of Labor Statistics that captures the data and publishes the reports, I think, on a monthly basis. In the Kufuor administration, we tried a job registration exercise, didn't succeed much. In the Mills administration, I recall my brother Ablakwa, Deputy Information Minister at the time, announcing the famous 1.6 million jobs. And later, the Employment Minister was struggling to reconcile. In the Akufo-Addo administration, we resorted to SNIT data of about 2.6 million jobs. It was a matter of public debate. Mr. Speaker, I'm raising this because it's a lesson that as a republic we must learn. And it will serve the new Employment and Labor Minister well if he pays attention to something like creating an Office of Employment Statistics or Labor Statistics in Ghana that can independently gather this data that the political and academic and economic classes can agree on. So we wish him well. Mr. Speaker, the second person I want to speak about is the Honorable Murtala Mohammed Ibrahim, going to Environment, Science and Technology. We're having a big debate here this afternoon about whether or not we can rely on what somebody has written as a matter of fact. Is a debate that is at large. But Mr. Speaker, now the fight against Galamsey, as he also alluded to in his vetting, is something he has to exercise his mind to. And in collaborating with his colleagues, the Minister for Lands, maybe Defense, etc., they will be able to do a bit more in addition to what has been done already. It's a fight that successive governments have battled. We all recall the videos of Professor Mills complaining about it. We recall the videos of President Akufo-Addo committing to work at it. Today, that matter is still at large. So the Honorable Murtala, as you go there, today the cap is squarely on your head, and you have to collaborate with your colleagues to try and achieve some results in addition to what has been achieved in that area. Mr. Speaker, I want to speak about the Minister Designate for Communication, Digital Technology and Innovation. A couple of things, or maybe three things that we have learned just exiting government that he should pay attention to. First is value-added services in the telecom space. A lot of work is being done on voice and data, but if you look at the global economy, a lot of young people are finding expression and wealth in value-added services. Here in Ghana, the digital centers, etc., can do a lot more in that space. He shouldn't just focus on the telcos, voice and data, but value-added services and how to help young Ghanaians take advantage of that. Attendant to that is the case of business process outsourcing centers. India, Singapore, some other parts of the world are creating a lot of jobs for young people through BPOs. It will serve Ghana well if the minister pays attention to that area. And also the fintech ecosystem requires a lot of support for the young Ghanaians. A lot of them previously will be doing what some may call Sakawa, etc. But that shows that they have the skill. And if they are supported in the fintech ecosystem, they can do some more. And so it will serve Ghana well if he pays some attention to that. Two final points, and then I'll rest, Mr. Speaker. The Minister for Sports and Recreation. It is the new administration that has been talking a lot about the 24-hour economy. In fact, Mr. Speaker, the 24-hour economy for some people is becoming like e-levy. When you ask about jobs, they say 24-hour economy. When you ask about growth, they say 24-hour economy. When you ask about everything, they say 24-hour economy. Mr. Speaker, the 24-hour economy requires them to pay attention, for example, to the astroturfs, hundreds of them that have been built across the country. That is one viable way, Kofi, that is one viable way that night sports under those floodlights can function. And so it is a good space that you should pay attention to so that at least your 24-hour economy will find expression in night sports using the astroturfs that the Akufo-Addo Bawumia administration bequeathed to you before we left office. And Mr. Speaker, my very final point is to the Transport Minister, Honorable Nikwe, very fine gentleman, not only just to look at the Tamale airport as the Honorable Education Minister spoke about, but also to pay attention to electronic vehicles. You will recall that the immediate exited administration piloted a rollout of electronic vehicles in the public transport area as part of efforts of reducing the cost of transport. Today, the new president has interestingly named the energy minister also as Minister for Green Transitions. It's an indication that there's a lot of interest to ensure that the green space is, may I say, played in some more. It will help if the minister collaborating with the Minister for Energy, ensure that the policy on EVs is put to use as quickly as possible. In particular, Mr. Speaker, the duties of, on electronic vehicles. So that people who want to go into electronic vehicles, particularly large occupancy electronic vehicles, will find them cheaper, bring them in, and help to reduce the cost of transportation. With these few words, Mr. Speaker, we'll support the motion that was moved by the chairman of the committee. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Okudzeto Ablakwa. Yes, let me now turn to Adaku, Minister for Roads and Transport.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the motion moved by the chairman of the appointment committee and seconded by our respected colleague, the minority leader. Mr. Speaker, indeed, I believe honorable people have what it takes to drive the government's agenda of creating more job opportunities. He's a very experienced politician and of a calm demeanor and can take the job and do it very well. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Mutala is very passionate about the environment and has advocated on many occasions what we can do. And I know that he's somebody who has got a research background as well. So some of the things raised by my good friend, Honorable Nkrumah, I believe Honorable Mutala can handle them. Mr. Speaker, with regard to Honorable Sam George, I respect the position taken by the minority. But just to say that their stance is a bit problematic. If we begin to, for instance, some of the reasons given for not supporting him is because he has failed to produce documents relating to businesses of his spouse. Mr. Speaker, Sam George is not the owner of his wife. You need permission. Yes, Sam George is not the owner of his wife. If your wife owns a business, you need her permission to be able to give details of that business. So this idea that when you are being vetted, you can be vetted on everything, including personal things. I am just saying that whilst it's him today, one day, be prepared that some other questions which has no relation to the portfolio can come up. And then this thing about his secondary source of income. Really? So colleagues on the other side are saying that if somebody were to ask you to actually determine how much you spend as a member of parliament, you will be able to account for all of it and put it in a document. Oh, but that is your point. I think these points are too feeble. These points are too feeble points to be used to say that you will not support him. But you have your point. With regard to Honorable Kofi Edi, the new minister designate for youth and for sports, I agree with Honorable Nkrumah that we have seen the building of a number of astroturfs across the country. The record, though, is that many of them are not built to standard. Some of them are failing already, and many of them, are, let's face it, many of them are in constituencies located to this side of the house at the moment. That is a fact. But he's made a very important point. He's made a very important point that let's ensure that we can put those to use even beyond when the sun is there. And I agree with him. And I'm sure Honorable Kofi has what it takes to be able to do that. With regard to Honorable Nikwe, I have no doubt that he understands exactly what the job description is. One of the things he talked about is the EV. But Honorable Nkrumah, the truth is that, yes, the previous government said they have got an EV policy. And then on the day of the launching of the buses, we were told 100 EV buses are available. I checked that time. Only 10 buses were registered at DVLA. So we don't have 100 EV buses. We have 10. But if or even those 10, would you be concerned that if that bus moves from Tema Station and gets stuck in traffic at on the way, it may not be able to get to Tema and come back because we don't have the infrastructure to handle them yet. So in the haste to deploy EVs, it comes with infrastructure. So it's not merely having a policy. We don't have, because you need to charge it. It doesn't come, it is not fuel. So I agree with you. Finally, Mr. Speaker, you see, I know my colleague, the minority leader, always complains that when he's speaking or people speaking from the other side, he's harassed. When Honorable Ponkrumai was speaking, I saw my colleagues listen to him in silence. So please, can you indulge us? Mr. Speaker, our respected former leader and the Minister of Education raised an issue. Mr. Speaker, the spectacle we saw at the appointment committee, I was there the last time. I am happy we have been able to resolve it. But leader of the minority, I saw you made certain points, including the fact that Honorable Sam George should retract and other things. I want to use this opportunity. I know that as members of parliament, we are not blind. We all know and can tell who in the parliamentary service, or we have suspicion, could be NDC or an MPP. But we never put that kind of information outside. I know, and you know, that there are members of parliament who have direct relations with people in the parliamentary service. But the point I'm making is that the way by which the minority leader actually dealt with the clerk of the appointment committee, Mr. Speaker, no. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, is it part of the report? Honorable member. Mr. Speaker, is it part of the report? Honorable member. I can tell my colleagues, I just left my job as a whip. Whenever I'm speaking, somebody puts my mic off. I can tell you, I can do that right now. That when you are speaking, leader, I can make sure you are Minister, please. Mr. Speaker, yes, I'm listening to you. Mr. Speaker. Minister, address me. Okay. I wish the issue about the clerk has been addressed by the Speaker. So let's focus on the nominee. And Mr. Speaker, let me tell you why this issue has to be dealt with. I know the lady and I know the family. They are extremely traumatized. Mr. Speaker, after the minority. All I'm going to say, Mr. Speaker, allow me. All I'm going to say is that give the opportunity to my very good friend, the respected minority leader, to openly apologize to the clerk. Repeatedly, when I speak, they put the mic off. Mr. Speaker, they should not tempt us to do the same thing that when you speak, you cannot be heard. And I can see, Mr. Speaker, there's a colleague, a female colleague on the other side, who I don't want to mention, who has become an expert in that. There's a female colleague on the other side who has become an expert in that. Mr. Speaker. I am just saying that I know the lady. The family is traumatized and they feel that Parliament, and I'm happy with the way Mr. Speaker defended her. Mr. Speaker, I sit here, I say, everybody in Parliament knows which staff is political, NDC or NPP, but we never use that against them. Mr. Speaker, I can tell you the political coloration of the four people sitting here, but that is not my business. So for the minority leader, a very respected leader of this house, to actually lay into the clerk that way, I am saying that
for us to look like people who actually care about women, she must actually apologize personally, apologize on the floor. He can decide, Mr. Speaker, he can decide not to do it. He can decide not to do it. But I am just saying that for the trauma the family of the clerk is going through, it will help if he makes some statement here to calm them down that it's not it's not something personal. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, Mr. Speaker, I just want to add to what Honorable Haruna said. We have consistently disagreed vehemently in this house, and you being the chair. We speak, and then we leave it there. For the fact that for the first time since I entered this house in 2013, colleagues got so infuriated to the extent of physically destroying tools that have been given to us to work with. Should never happen again. Not say why? Because I was sitting there. The mic, the console in front of me. The console in front of me, Mr. Speaker. I saw a colleague.
Who said okay?
Honorable member.
Mr. Speaker.
Honorable member. In the parliament.
Mr. Speaker. Please. Mr. Speaker, do you know why I need to talk about this? I have been invited. I've been invited by the committee investigating.
Honorable. Before I put the question, I want to be clear with respect to the nominee for Foreign Affairs. Are we taking that one on?
Mr. Speaker.
Oh, honorable members. Honorable members, please. Honorable members, the report indicated, Sam George, the report indicated that there's unanimity, but the minority leader said, with respect to Okudzeto, they want it to be approved by majority. So that is what I want to be cleared on. So very well. So let me do the rest, then later on I come to Okudzeto Ablakwa. At the conclusion of the debate, all those in favor that Honorable Kwabena Minka Akando is approved as Minister Designate for Health, say aye. All those against say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. Honorable Kwabena Minka Akando has been approved as Minister Designate for Health. All those in favor that Honorable Seydou Issoufou is approved as Minister of State Designate for Climate Change and Sustainability, say aye. All those against say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. Honorable Seydou Issoufou has been approved as Minister of State Designate for Climate Change and Sustainability. All those in favor that Mrs. Charity Gardiner is approved as Minister Designate for Ahafo Region, say aye. All those against say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. Mrs. Charity Gardiner has been approved as Minister Designate for Ahafo Region. All those in favor that Mr. Salisu B. Awulibe Isifu is approved as Minister Designate for Savannah Region, say aye. All those against say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. Mr. Salisu B. Awulibe Isifu is approved as Minister Designate for Savannah Region. All those in favor that Mr. Wilbert Petty Brintum is approved as Minister Designate for Western North Region, say aye. Aye. All those against, say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. Mr. Wilbert Petty Brintum has been approved as Minister Designate for Western North Region. All those in favor that Mr. Joseph Nelson is approved as Minister Designate for Western Region, say aye. Aye. All those against, say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. Mr. Joseph Nelson has been approved as Minister Designate for Western Region. As many as are in favor that Mr. Joseph Ade Akwabua is approved as Minister Designate for Bono Region, say aye. Aye. All those against, say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. Mr. Joseph Ade Akwabua is approved as Minister Designate for Bono Region. Mr. Francis Owusu Enkwi, all those in favor that he is approved as Minister Designate for Bono Region, say aye. Aye. All those against, say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. Mr. Francis Owusu Enkwi has been approved as Minister Designate for Bono East Region. As many as are in favor that Honorable Ferris Kwachi Ofosu is approved as Minister of State Designate for Government Communications, say aye. Aye. All those against, say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. Honorable Ferris Kwachi Ofosu has been approved as Minister Designate as Minister of State Designate for Government Communications. All those in favor that Mr. Eduamwa Ekwao Penyin Ochre is approved as Minister Designate for Central Region, say aye. Aye. All those against, say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. Mr. Eduamwa Ekwao Penyin Ochre has been approved as Minister Designate for Central Region. And finally, all those in favor that Mr. Pozin Charles Ruanga is approved as Minister Designate for Upper West Region, say aye. Aye. All those against, say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. Mr. Pozin Charles Ruanga has been approved as Minister Designate for Upper West Region. Now, all those in favor that Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa is approved as yes. Yes.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes, I'm listening to you.
Started the thing again. We've started it again. Mr. Speaker, I indicated when I was seconding the motion that we are proceeding in terms of the earlier position taken on Honorable Sam George. I just needed to bring clarity to it for Hansard. That this decision again is the majority caucus decision. The minority is not part of this decision. The entire 88 members of the minority hereby reject the nominee for the Foreign Affairs portfolio, and same should reflect in Hansard. We abstain with our entire 88 in that rejection. The majority should know that even if they are doing their majority, if they would not become for us to cooperate with them, I can tell them that if they count, if they do a head count of their majority, they still require a certain threshold by constitution. So they should know the empty seats. They should know the empty seats. Mr. Speaker, you don't need a minority. You need your numbers. You need a threshold. Read the constitution. You have come in as a backbencher. All you are learning is how to shout. You are not even making it to deputy ministerial. You are there at the backbench. You may not even make it to a good committee. Sit and misbehave. So, Mr. Speaker, leaders have worked tirelessly to get all of us to this far. Some backbenchers who don't know the industry that has gone into where we are should learn from the front bench and not misbehave. Mr. Speaker, so in putting the question, I am suggesting to the chair to be clear in the language, to be used. I thank you.
Honorable members, as many as are in favor that Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa is approved by majority members of this House, say aye. All those against say no. All those against say no. Honorable members, the honorable members, the ayes have it. The motion to approve Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa by majority of the House is hereby carried. Yes, Honorable Bernard.
Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker. As a lawyer, I am always a student of the law. Right Honorable Speaker, if we look at Article 104 of the 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, it reads, except as otherwise provided in this Constitution, matters in Parliament shall be determined by the vote of the majority of the members present and voting. Right Honorable Speaker, if I look at the minority side,
but Honorable,
they
you've
don't
gone
have
past
the
this.
number 88.
You've gone past this.
But they always say 88 absentee.
Honorable member, I thought you were just thanking us.
Let me use the opportunity. Let me use the opportunity to thank the entire House for having approved the nominees of His Excellency the President. I'm so grateful for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, I believe you are in my house now. Yes, tomorrow when are we coming?
Mr. Speaker, we demand, since the member has raised a constitutional issue, we demand a head count. We demand a head count. We demand a head count to confirm whether they had the minimum constitutional threshold. The member, the chairman of the committee invoked a constitutional provision, Article 104, which requires that majority of members present. So even if it is a majority, they need a wanted.
Honorable members,
let's go through the process of a head count.
Respectfully, honorable member, respectfully, we are coming at 12 noon tomorrow.